Trust. Difficult to build, easy to lose, but absolutely crucial if you want to grow sales and build a sustainable business. Some of the biggest wins, as well as some of the biggest losses of my career, have been down to trust. So in this video, I want to share with you how to build rock solid trust with your clients, why this is crucial, and what to do if things have gone a bit off track and you need to rebuild that trust with a client. So let's get going. So how do you build trust? I think the easiest way to go about this is to think about the essence of selling, right? You're solving problems in exchange for money, or in other words, you're providing value in exchange for money. I think if you think about value as the key thing here, then that makes the idea of building trust a lot simpler. So you want to always be providing value, but you want to be doing this proactively, not reactively, right? It's a lot more impactful if you give value off your own back rather than giving value when the customer asks for it, right? And you can do this a few different ways, but a very simple way of doing this is just making sure that you're really prepared for every meeting you go into with that customer. Really understand what you want to get out of that meeting. Even write down what value you're going to be providing to the customer in that meeting, right? I'm going to be providing value to this customer in this meeting because I'm going to listen to everything they say. I have a solution to their problem, etc., etc. Actually write this down, and then when you go into the meeting, you'll be a lot better prepared to actually provide that value and start building trust. Another way of doing this is to make sure that you ask great questions during the meetings, because if you ask great questions, then that shows that you're actually listening to what the customer is talking about, and this just builds that relationship with the customer. It builds trust. And again, a very simple way to do this is to prep those questions beforehand. When you're working out what you want to get out of that meeting, also make sure you're noting down what questions you're going to ask. You'll say this and then they'll respond, and then you'll ask this question, right? Have it laid out. By showing that you're prepared, they will respect you because you're respecting their time, right? And then that builds trust. Next thing to think about is you should always be honest. There should be no situation where you're selling to a customer where you have to be dishonest, and especially you should never lie, right? And this comes down to a few different areas where this is important. Firstly, pricing, right? There is no point lying about pricing. Always be honest about pricing. As soon as you lie about something like this and the customer finds out, your trust will just be absolutely shattered. It's much better to be honest and to not get the sale than to lie, get the sale, and have a very unhappy customer for the rest of the time, right? So pricing's, be honest there. Also be honest about your capabilities, what you can and can't do. There's no point lying about what your product can do. If the customer says, I want the product to be this fast or something, and your product is not that fast, then why lie about it? They're going to find out eventually. So be honest about your capabilities. That will again build trust. And lastly, on the area of being honest, it's absolutely fine if you don't know the answer. If you're in a meeting and the customer asks you a technical question, or they ask you a question about logistics or whatever, and you don't know the answer, it's absolutely fine for you to say, great question, I don't know the answer to that. I will have a chat with the team and I'll get back to you. Right? That in itself builds trust with the customer. You're not supposed to know everything. So if you don't know the answer, don't lie about it. Be honest, I don't know the answer, but I'll get back to you. Right? That builds trust. Also, when you're providing value, make sure that it's explicit and not implicit. And what I mean by this is, don't say you'll do something and believe the customer will know that that's valuable to them. Get that out of the customer. So let's say you finish a meeting and you say, right, okay, I'll get the price list to you, I'll talk to my colleague, and we'll get this moving along, right? That is providing value implicitly because you're expecting them to realize that that's valuable. Whereas you can flip that around very easily and say, so if I reach out to my colleague and I get you that price list and I sort out the logistics for you, that will be a good next step. That will be valuable to you. Just by simply asking this question, the customer will then say, yes, that will be valuable. And then if you can actually take that action and achieve that, the customer will remember that they found that valuable. Build trust, okay? And it's also important to remember when trying to build trust that you should always try and maintain a collaborative tone, right? It's never you against the customer, it's always you with the customer to help the customer solve their problem, providing value to the customer. No customer ever wants to feel like they're being sold, right? No customer wants to feel like they're being tricked into buying something. It should always be a collaboration. Or use the word collaboration in your meetings. it makes a huge difference, right? And this becomes especially important when there's a bit of friction in the relationship, right? When you are talking about one of the advantages and they don't agree with the advantage or something like that, and you don't really see eye to eye, make sure you continue to have that collaborative tone. If you start to get defensive or you start to push your point and tell the customer they're wrong, that's not going to build trust, right? So be collaborative. It's you with the customer, not you against the customer. And very important to remember here is that all the way through the meeting, you're going to be reading the customer's emotions. Is the customer understanding this? Are they getting excited by this? All that sort of stuff, right? Remember that at the same time, the customer is reading you as well. Okay, so if you're looking uncomfortable, if you are lying and you've got tells that you're lying, right? Your face goes red or your ears move or something like that, they're going to pick up on that and they're going to lose trust in you. So really, it comes down to consistently providing value, be obvious about the value you're providing, be honest, and make sure you're working with the customer, not against the customer. That will build trust. Now, let's say you follow all of those steps, you start to build trust with the customer. Why is that important? Having a customer that trusts you is a very simple way of transforming a first-time customer into a loyal customer. And loyal customers are so important because it amplifies word-of-mouth recommendations. Okay, how likely is this person to suggest your product to other people? You know when you fill out those surveys online and it says, out of 10, how likely are you to promote this product to your friend or your family, right? That's exactly what they're measuring. They want to know if you're a loyal customer and you're going to provide word-of-mouth recommendations. That's so valuable to you as a salesperson because it means that they're technically selling for you. So if you can build this trust, if you can get the customer loyal, they will do your job for you. That's why this is so cool. Also, if you have a loyal customer, it fortifies your brand against competition, right? If they really like your product, if they really like you, they're going to be more forgiving if your product is a little bit worse in a certain area than another product, right? Gives you a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more safety when looking at competitors, which is always so helpful. And if you have a loyal customer, it also means that you're going to be getting recurring revenue and not non-recurring revenue. So recurring revenue is when you get revenue, let's say every month, the customer orders every single month, rather than the customer orders one time and then never orders again. Recurring revenue is so much better because it means that you can plan out your sales funnel better. It means you can forecast better and let your team know exactly how many sales you're going to be getting next month because that person always orders every month, right? It just gives you a much better visibility and allows you to plan your sales efforts around which of the relationships need help, which of them don't, okay? So building trust and getting these loyal customers is so important. As well as this, building trust creates a safety net during economic downturns, right? If you have a loyal customer, they like buying from you, they like you, they're going to continue buying your product. And even if there is an economic downturn or something is going wrong, COVID, for example, right? If they have trust with you, then they're more likely to forgive you if your price goes up slightly, or yeah, they're just going to be more supportive, okay? So it gives you that safety net. It helps you navigate tough times if you have a real loyal customer base. And it also allows for premium pricing, right? If you have a customer that really trusts you, they like buying from you, they like you as a salesperson, it means that you can charge a little bit more, perhaps, than your competitors, okay? Customers will pay if you make the whole process nice and simple, if they can trust you, if they feel like they're not going to be scammed or they're not going to buy a substandard product, and more, right? Lots of different advantages for having a loyal customer base. These are some of the key ones, okay? But what happens if things are not going too well? You have a relationship with a client and trust is broken and you have to rebuild that trust, okay? This is going to take a long time, okay? Rebuilding trust happens even slower than building trust, okay? But things to remember here is if you are trying to rebuild trust, come at it from a position of authenticity and from patience, okay? It is going to take a long time. But there are 5 steps that you can follow to actually rebuild trust with a customer. First, empathize with the customer. When they talk about the reasons that the trust is not there anymore, empathize with them, like agree with them, okay? Make them feel like they're being heard, because then they're more likely to actually give you the real reasons underneath. Sometimes customers may give a reason, but it's not actually the real reason. If you empathize with them, they're more likely to let their guard down and actually tell you the real reason why things are not as smooth as they should be. Next, when you've got the customer to open up and they start telling you the real reasons, make sure you're asking open-ended questions, okay? And I've put something here that says this hurts, right? If you're really asking open-ended questions and the customer is openly talking to you, they're going to say stuff which could potentially hurt, right? They don't like buying from you because they don't like you as a salesperson. They don't trust you, or they think that you are always trying to scam them, or whatever the reason. This is going to be uncomfortable, but it's extremely important to accept this. Once you've heard all of their answers, now you need to position yourself, okay? The best thing to do here is not to be defensive, okay? As soon as you start being defensive, if they say that they don't like buying from you because they don't trust you as a salesperson, and you start to go, I am trustworthy because of this, 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 all that's going to do is get the customers back up. They're going to enter fight or flight, right? You're either going to get into an argument or the customer's going to distance themselves from you, neither of which you want. So don't get defensive, okay? Position yourself based on what the customer is actually saying. Make sure that they realize they're being heard. And then you want to elicit feedback. And what I mean by this is, once you've positioned yourself based on what they're saying, suggest solutions to them, but make sure that they agree to the solution. So you can say, great, I hear you. Let's try this. Do you think that would help? Would that rebuild this trust? Would that help this relationship, right? If they say yes, then that's absolutely perfect, right? They're bought in now, okay? So you've got them to agree. That's what I mean by elicit feedback here. And then the last step here is just to take action, right? You've got their guard down. They're telling you the truth. They're telling you the real reasons. You're asking open-ended questions so that they're giving you all the information. You're positioning yourself in a way that they feel like they're being heard. You're suggesting to them possible solutions and you're getting them to agree to that. And now you take action and you actually deliver on those points. And it's by making this sustained effort and by successfully completing these small actions that the customers actually agreed to. That's how you'll start to rebuild trust and start to improve that relationship with the client. So there we go. I really hope that was helpful and that helps you to build trust, but also to rebuild trust in some of those tricky relationships. This is actually the third video in a 9-part video series on how to sell anything. So if you would like to go back and watch that first video and start the series, then you can click down here. If you would like to watch the next video, then be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that. And thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you in the next video.